to some people talk about the fossil record, and really either way is detrimental to the evolutionist. If it's a young Earth view, there's no way evolution can occur because there's not enough time for all those small changes to occur. If there's an old Earth view, all of this explosion of fossils and no intermediates, no progression, no gradualism is detrimental to evolution as well. So either one of these kills the evolution argument. All right, Jonathan. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get through some notes, but you can get ready. So the fossil record. What does Darwin himself say about the fossils? And I have this printed in your notes. These are from the words from his book. He says, firstly, why if species have descended from other species by insensibly fine gradations, do we not everywhere see innumerable transitional forms? Why is not all nature in confusion instead of the species being as we see them well defined? But as by this theory innumerable transitional forms must have existed, why do we not find them embedded in countless numbers in the crust of the earth? Lastly, looking not to any one time, but to all time, if my theory be true, numberless intermediate varieties linking closely together all the species of the same group must assuredly have existed. Why then is not every geological formation and every stratum full of such intermediate links? Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain. And this, perhaps, is the most obvious and gravest objection which can be urged against my theory. It's pretty strongly written. And since this time, we've uncovered multiple other fossils, and guess what? The story's still the same. There's no tiny intermediates, so small gradations. Stephen Jay Gould, who just recently died within the past 10 years, professor of geology and paleontology at Harvard, and spokesman for evolution, also said this. The history of most fossil species includes two features inconsistent with gradualism. Status, that's the first one. Most species exhibit no directional change during their tenure on Earth. They appear in the fossil record looking much the same as when they disappear. 2, sudden appearance. In any local area, a species does not arise gradually by the steady transformation of its ancestors. It appears all at once and fully formed. The evolutionary tree that adorns our textbooks have data only at the tips and nodes of their branches. The rest is inference, however reasonable, but not the evidence of the fossils. Not the evidence. So the fossils do in no way support it. This is, okay, I have double slides. That's why I was confused. All right, so this is, you notice he says most of the fossils. So that would lead you to believe he'd say that there are some fossils that are transitional forms. And this is one that people often claim is a transitional, Archaeopteryx. So there's probably about, I think there's 9 of these fossils that are in similar condition, just like this. And with our amazing abilities, we can construct a skeleton just like that from that small little slate. But that's what they think the Archaeopteryx looked like. And if we were to put skin and bones on him, that's what he would look like. And you'll notice, you may not be able to see, but right here are some claws that most birds don't have. And the beak isn't a normal bird beak. And they claim this shows a transition from, there was some reptile that became Archaeopteryx that became a normal bird. So they're saying this is a transitional form between birds and reptiles. I have well, first of all, there's no fossil showing the small gradations from a reptile up to Archaeopteryx, from Archaeopteryx up to the bird. It's just, boom, a species. And another issue is we see some animals today that have some odd things, right? What about this guy, the duck-billed platypus? Lays eggs, still has mammary glands, has a duck bill, has webbed foot. All this does is speak to me about God's greatness and his ability to create. There's no gradations. It's just the Archaeopteryx was another species that was on the earth at some point in time. I think that's the most logical explanation for Archaeopteryx. So now, the video.
Perhaps the most damaging blow to Darwin's theory is the fossil record. If all living organisms have descended from the same primitive life form, then the rock strata of the Earth should be filled with the fossilized remains of animals that were once part of a great evolutionary chain. A chain of small biological modifications, ultimately leading to a spectacular diversity of life. Yet, after 2 centuries of research, highlighted by excavations in southern China, the multitude of transitional experiments, or missing links, that should exist are conspicuous only by their absence. The most graphic example of this void in the fossil record is a geological era known as the Cambrian Explosion.
The branching tree pattern of Darwin's theory is actually not seen anywhere in the fossil record unless we impose it with our own minds. So the Cambrian Explosion is the most dramatic refutation of the tree of life.
The Cambrian Explosion of life was a dramatic episode in geological history. Usually dated at about 530 million years ago, the exquisitely preserved Cambrian fossils reveal that the body plans for virtually every major animal phyla appeared, not gradually and slowly as Darwin had speculated, but instead with astonishing suddenness.
If we imagine the whole history of life on Earth taking place in one 24-hour period, so if we start the clock then, our 24-hour clock, 6 hours, nothing but these simple single-celled organisms appear, the same sort that we saw in the beginning. 12 hours, same thing. 18 hours, same thing. 3/4 of the day has passed, and all we have are these simple single-celled organisms. Then at about the 21st hour, in the space of about 2 minutes, boom, most of the major animal forms appear in the form that they currently have in the present. And many of them persist to the present, and we have them with us today. Less than 2 minutes out of a 24-hour period. That's how sudden the Cambrian Explosion was.
In a geological instant, the animal kingdom leaped from small, relatively simple organisms to extraordinary creatures with spinal cords, compound eyes, and articulated limbs. The record of this explosion of life looks nothing like Darwin's slowly branching tree.
All right, so that's the video, and like I was saying, that scientist has an old Earth view, and if you subscribe to that view, the fossil record is damaging. If you don't subscribe to that view, the fossil record is damaging to evolution. But again, we don't see the main point of the discussion is there are no small gradations in the fossil record. We just have complete animals, species, and they're not wandering. They didn't wander there, and they haven't wandered since they got there. All right, so that has brought us to the teleological argument. So we have discussed evolution and some of the pit holes in evolution. Next week, so we're running out of time, we're going to discuss the teleological argument. And there is a set argument very much smaller than the cosmological argument. You can see there it's 4 steps and we're done with it. But we will talk about that, and we will talk about some of the things that we look on there other than irreducible complexity that say there must be a design from science, okay?